So first of all, we'll revise foreign exchange rate. Acha. We need to understand what is the difference in foreign exchange and foreign exchange rate. If you have any queries, you can just raise your hand or you can ask it directly. Foreign exchange means foreign currency. However, if we talk about foreign exchange rate, here rate means अगर हमें अपनी करेंसी को फॉरेन करेंसी में कन्वर्ट करना है, we want to know the ratio. That is called as foreign exchange rate. First of all, we have already covered its definition. Na? The definition says foreign exchange refers to all the currencies other than the domestic currency. So if we talk about India, other than Indian national rupee, rest of the currencies will be foreign exchange for us. For example, India's domestic currency in Indian rupee and all other currencies like US dollar, British pound, etc., those all will be foreign exchange. And if we talk about foreign exchange rate, so this is the rate at which one currency is exchanged for the other. That means if we decide the ratio between US dollars and Indian currency, so that particular ratio in which we are sharing these currencies, so that will be termed as foreign exchange rate. Just like they have shown you, कि 1 rupee is equal to 1 by $70. Or you can say like, कि 70 rupees will be used to convert in US dollar. If you need $1, you can exchange that with 70 rupees. So that particular rate is foreign exchange rate. So foreign exchange rate measures the number of unit of one currency required to exchange with other unit of another. If exchange rate for pounds or dollars is like 1:2, that means $2 are needed to have 1 pound. Okay. Now look, currency depreciation and appreciation. Depreciation means you are going to reduce the value, and appreciation means increase in the value. We need to understand what is currency appreciation and depreciation along with its effects. So currency depreciation refers to decrease in the value of domestic currency in terms of foreign currency. मतलब आप अगर एक उसको simple language में समझें, तो if we are exchanging $1 with 70 Indian rupees and the new rate is 74 Indian rupees, that means we have to sacrifice more units of our currency to get only 1 unit of other currency. तो जब भी हमारी currency की मतलब value decrease होगी, we need to pay more money in our currency. ठीक है? So earlier it was 70, now it is 74. That means earlier to get $1 or 1 pound, we need to pay this much amount. But as the rate has increased, our currency will depreciate. A change from $2 to pound 1 and similarly 1.5 to 1. That means this is depreciating. Pound is depreciating. Because earlier to get 1 pound, they were paying $2. But now they are paying just $1.5, मतलब 1.5. Okay? Now, what are the effects of depreciation of domestic currency? First one is increase in exports. Second one is decrease in imports. इसको थोड़ा सा ध्यान से समझना बच्चों. We are talking about depreciation in domestic currency. मतलब we are somehow demanding more of other currencies. And our currency is not demanded that much. या हमारी currency की demand कम हो रही है. Whenever there is increase in export, the depreciation of domestic currency means a fall in the price of domestic currency in terms of foreign currency. It means with same amount of dollar, some goods can be purchased from India. That is, exports to US will increase as they will become relatively cheaper. Why they are purchasing from us? Why we are exporting? Because our currency is somehow cheap as compared to that of their own currency. Decrease in imports. So depreciation will lead to decrease in imports because whenever we are importing some goods, we have to release more and more of foreign exchange. तो हम ज्यादा से ज्यादा जब foreign exchange पे करेंगे, definitely its value is going to be increased because of lesser amount available with us. The decrease will lead to decrease, depreciation will lead to decrease in imports, as Indians will have to pay more domestic currency to import foreign goods. We are paying more and more currency, na? So it will lead to fall in imports as foreign goods will become relatively costly. क्योंकि हमें अपना मतलब amount pay करना पड़ रहा है, and we are going to reduce the currency availability in our hands. So ultimately we are going to reduce the imports. अब देखो इसका मतलब क्या हुआ? If our currency is depreciating, what will be its impact on this? These are not causes, these are the impacts. अगर आपकी करेंसी चीप हो रही है, आपकी करेंसी डेप्रिशिएट हो रही है एज कंपेयर टू दैट ऑफ फॉरेन करेंसी, तो यू विल बी टेकिंग सम स्टेप्स in which you are going to get more foreign currency and you need to sacrifice less of own currency. Is this point clear to you both? Jen, Kushi? Oh. Jay?
Yes,
Any doubt?
no, no.
Third one is increase in national income. That means you have to increase your national income. So as exports will increase, imports will fall due to depreciation of domestic currency, net exports will increase. And ultimately it will be adding to our national income. So we are assuming that other things will remain same. This will somehow control the depreciation of our own currency. If we study the opposite points now, currency appreciation, that means it refers to increase in the value of domestic currency in terms of foreign currency. The domestic currency becomes more valuable and less of it is required to buy foreign currency. Last case we have studied shifting of $1 is equal to 70 to $1 is equal to 74 rupees. But now it's different. Earlier the rate was 74, but now we just need to pay only 70 rupees to get $1. So ultimately we are somehow increasing the value of our own currency. We are appreciating that. Examples are given like 74 to 70, basic one. Okay? Now what are its impacts? Just opposite of the depreciation one. I'll be providing you the workbooks now. In workbooks, there'll be blanks in which you just have to write the reasons in front of each other. So each side it will be depreciation, another side it would be appreciation. So what you need to do is, if the reason is like decrease in imports on one hand, for the other side you need to write increase in imports. Okay, so increase in imports means appreciation of domestic currency means a rise in the price of domestic currency, say rupee, in terms of a foreign currency, say US dollar. Now, 1 rupee can be exchanged for more dollars. That is, with same amount of money, more goods can be purchased from US. Definitely, na. If your value has increased, earlier to get a मतलब कोई भी product of $1, you need to release 74 rupees. लेकिन right now you just need to pay 70 rupees. So ultimately आपकी purchasing power increase हो जाएगी. और आपकी purchasing power increase होते you will start increasing your imports. Opposite होगा with the exports. क्योंकि ना export on our behalf is actually import on another behalf. तो अगर कोई और उसको इंपोर्ट कर रहा है तो उनके लिए तो वो करेंसी मतलब कॉस्टली पड़ेगी ना. इफ आवर करेंसी इज एप्रिशिएटिंग और बाहर वाले हमसे गुड्स ले रहे थे, इफ माय करेंसी इज इंक्रीजिंग तो दे विल स्टार्ट इंपोर्टिंग लेस. अल्टीमेटली आवर एक्सपोर्ट्स विल गेट रिड्यूस्ड. So appreciation will lead to decrease in the exports as 1 unit of foreign currency will buy less of domestic goods. It leads to fall in exports as domestic goods will become relatively costly for foreign nationals. तो अब जो foreigners हमारे goods आराम से purchase कर रहे थे, they'll think a bit because हमारी currency का rate increase हो गया. And last one is decrease in national income. Ultimately, अगर हम net exports देखें, our exports will decrease, import will increase. तो अगर हम इन दोनों का net impact देखेंगे ना, so ultimately it will reduce our national income. ठीक है, तो these 3 points are totally opposite to that of depreciation. Another topic is type of foreign exchange rates. One is fixed exchange rate. or you can call it as pegged exchange rate. Another one is flexible exchange rate, or we can call it as floating exchange rate. And third one is managed floating rate. This is a kind of mixture in which you can manage the rates. In fixed, this is fixed by the government and the authorities. In flexible, you are totally free to determine the rate of supply, rate of foreign currency using the forces of demand and supply. First one is fixed exchange rate system, as the rate is fixed by government. Basic purpose of adopting is to ensure stability in foreign trade and capital movements. अगर rate बार बार fluctuate होगा ना, तो people just have to rethink over investment and spending money. लेकिन अगर rate का एक थोड़ा सा stability maintain रहेगा, तो it would be easy for you to trade easily. मतलब आपको बार बार ये rates वगैरह check करना, बार बार ये सब problems में नहीं आना पड़ेगा, because it is fixed by the government. To achieve stability, government undertakes to buy foreign currency when exchange rate becomes weaker and sell foreign currency when exchange rate becomes stronger. अब आपका अगर exchange rate strong है, तो मतलब क्या होगा? Your currency is leading. तो आप foreign currency की supply को increase कर सकते हैं by selling it. Ultimately, people will deal it with it. People will start circulating foreign exchange in our economy. Opposite होगा in the time where you have to buy foreign currency. अब government क्या करेगी? Stability maintain के लिए, करने के लिए, sometime it will purchase, sometime it will sell. Ultimately, because government is the authority which needs to control the official reserves as well. If you remember in money chapter, हम last topic में पढ़ते हैं that RBI needs to maintain 200 rupees crore, मतलब crore rupees reserve, that too in terms of foreign exchange securities and gold. तो यहाँ पर वैसे भी और बहुत रिजर्व हैं जो हमारी गवर्नमेंट को मेंटेन करने होते हैं. सो टू मेंटेन एवरीथिंग, गवर्नमेंट हैज अ कंट्रोल. दे कैन बाय एंड सेल एनी टाइम. For this, government has to maintain large reserve of foreign currency to maintain the exchange rate at the level fixed by it. Under the system, each country keeps value of its currency fixed in terms of external standard. And this external standard can be gold, silver, or other precious metal. Another country's currency, just like US dollar. तो आप ना क्या करेंगे, आप अपनी करेंसी की वैल्यू को किसी भी एक डिनोमिनेशन में फिक्स करोगे इसकी वैल्यू को, ठीक है, एंड इट वुड बी फिक्स्ड बाय द गवर्नमेंट. नाउ यू कैन जस्ट कन्वर्ट इट लाइक गोल्ड में, सिल्वर में, किसी और स्टोन में, और वी कैन आल्सो कंपेयर इट विद सम अदर्स कंट्रीज करेंसी लाइक यूएस डॉलर वगैरह, or some internationally agreed units of account. Next point is when value of domestic currency is tied to the value of another currency, it is known as pegging. This can be asked as an MCQ. ठीक है? तो question क्या है? The process of tying domestic currency with the value of some other currency is called as blank. You need to write pegging. When value of currency is fixed in terms of some other currency or in terms of gold, then it is parity value of the currency. थोड़ा सा एक बार दोबारा दोनों sentences को read करो. Value of domestic currency is tied to the value of another currency, that is pegging. लेकिन when the value of currency is fixed in terms of other currency, whenever you are just tying it, आप उन चीजों को compare कर रहे हैं, that will be pegging. लेकिन if you are fixing one currency's value into another one, so that fixing, or in terms of gold as well, that fixing will be termed as parity value of the currency. Okay, for merits and demerits, you can refer bar booster. Now let's cover devaluation and revaluation. Devaluation refers to reduction in the value, devalue करना ना, value को reduce करना of the domestic currency by the government. अभी हम पढ़ रहे हैं fixed system. Always remember that in fixed system, government has total control to decide the rates. And if government wants to reduce it, they're going to reduce it. and government want to increase the rates, they can increase that as well. लेकिन ultimately government के पास कुछ ऐसे options होते हैं, कुछ ऐसे techniques होती हैं which can be used to increase or decrease the domestic currency's value. लेकिन वो बहुत rare case में use करते हैं. When the exchange rate is increased by the government under fixed devaluation हो जाएगा. जब exchange rate increase होगा, these terms are opposite. थोड़ा सा ध्यान रखना, confuse मत होना. Exchange rate increase होने का मतलब है कि हमें अपनी currency को ज़्यादा sacrifice करना पड़ेगा. We need to sacrifice more of our currency just to get the another currency or gold or like something like that. ठीक है? So ultimately that will lead to reduction in our value. That is why it is termed as devaluation. However, if there is reduction in the government rate, in reduction in the exchange rate, then we will have revaluation. Because we are going to increase the value of our domestic currency. ठीक है? Any doubt, बच्चों? नहीं.
No, ma'am.
Now let's start with flexible exchange rate system. We have covered fixed system, that is fixed by government. We have covered pegging and parity value, the two different terms, devaluation, revaluation. Okay. Now let's start with flexible exchange rate system. It refers to the system in which exchange rate is determined by, just as I have told you, the forces of demand and supply of different currency in foreign exchange market. Just like we have markets for different goods and services now, we also have market for foreign currencies, in which we need to decide whether it's like demand or supply के basis पे हमें deal करना पड़ता है. If the demand are high, supply is less, definitely rate will increase. Just like you can imagine oxygen cylinders during COVID. Demand बहुत ज़्यादा थी, supply उतनी नहीं हो पा रही थी, तो rate has increased. Okay, opposite in terms of मतलब different situations. The value of currency is allowed to fluctuate freely according to the change in demand and supply in foreign exchange. मतलब there is no such government control, strict government control नहीं है कि government ही rate decide करेगी. There is no official or government intervention in the foreign exchange market. Flexible exchange rate is also known as floating exchange rate or free exchange rate. These are the other names which can be asked as a question. Floating and free exchange. Exchange rate is determined by the market through interaction of thousands of banks, firms, and other institutes seeking to buy and sell the currency for the purpose of making transaction in foreign exchange. We cannot directly get the foreign exchange. We are going to route through some banks, some financial institutions or authorities set by the government. So ultimately जो foreign exchange market में main role होता है ना, वो उन्हीं सबका होता है. They have given the difference. Please must read it. Differences आपको क्यों आने चाहिए? इसके दो reasons हैं. First of all, many a time it happens कि अगर आपको कोई और question नहीं मिल रहा है to ask someone, or you want to cover multiple topics in one single question, you are just going to ask the difference. क्योंकि वहां पर पता लग जाएगा बच्चे को concept आता है या नहीं आता, दोनों ही, वो भी single question में. ठीक है? Second point is, whenever you actually understand the differences now, you can more clearly write about one topic. And this is the fact, you can try this. Next one is managed floating rate system. This is the third system. First one, government, fixed by the government, fixed rate. Then fluctuating, flexible or free exchange rate, in which you need to deal with all the forces of demand and supply. Last one is managed floating rate system. So traditionally, international monetary economists focus their attention on framework of either fixed or flexible exchange rate. With the end of the Bretton Woods system, many countries have adopted the method of managed floating exchange rate. Bretton Woods system was मतलब a system which was used earlier. इसमें भी हम वही pegging वगैरह ही करते थे. The concept, the term which we have understood. So it refers to the system in which foreign exchange rate is determined by market forces and central bank influence the exchange rate through intervention. In foreign exchange market, मतलब ultimately you can say it is a combination of both. अब इसमें आप क्या कर सकते हैं? आप market forces को जो रेट है वो डिटरमाइन करने दीजिए. एंड सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट बैंक, ये सेंट्रल बैंक अगर बोले तो आरबीआई, and indirectly central government of the India, they will have the authority to intervene. They can do an intervention whenever they need. जब भी उन्हें लगेगा कोई भी सिचुएशन हमारे कंट्रोल से बाहर जा रही है या हमारी इकोनॉमी में कुछ चेंजेस की जरूरत है, डेफिनेटली दे आर गोइंग टू यूज इट. It is a hybrid, or you can say mixture of fixed exchange rate and flexible exchange rate system. Like flexible exchange rate, it is primarily determined by the forces of demand and supply. लेकिन fixed का देखें तो government और RBI can actually intervene the dealing of foreign exchange. In the system, central bank intervenes in the foreign exchange market to restrict the fluctuations of exchange rate within certain limits. मतलब changes हो, fluctuations हो, it's okay, but एक limit में रहनी चाहिए ताकि आपके लिए वो चीज problem ना create करे. The aim is to keep exchange rate close to desired target value. मतलब अल्टीमेटली आप जो मार्केट में, आप जो डिफरेंट इकोनॉमीज के साथ एक वैल्यू मेंटेन करना चाहते हैं, यू हैव द टोटल राइट टू कंट्रोल दैट. नॉर्मल मार्केट में चलने दीजिए, फोर्सेस ऑफ डिमांड एंड सप्लाई, बट यू कैन कंट्रोल दैट. For the central bank maintain reserves of foreign exchange to ensure that exchange rate stays within the target values. Again, the same thing. It is also known as dirty floating. Dirty float is a system in which value of country's currency is allowed to change in relation to others. मतलब आपको परमिशन है कि आप दूसरी करेंसीज के अकॉर्डिंग चेंज कर सकते हैं. The system is called as dirty float, but is controlled and manipulated by the central bank. RBI के थ्रू कंट्रोल किया जाता है to keep it within a particular range. It can be contrasted with a clean float where central bank does not intervene. तो आपके लिए यहाँ पे छोटे छोटे से दो क्वेश्चंस बहुत इजीली बन गए, dirty floating or dirty float, similarly clean float. So whenever central bank, that means RBI, does not intervene, that will be clean float. But if the central bank of India is actually have intervention in the workings of foreign exchange rates, so that will be termed as dirty float. Flexible exchange rate versus managed floating exchange rate system. मतलब they have actually compared the two systems, second one and third one. Flexible exchange rate is the rate which is determined by the supply and demand forces in foreign exchange market. It is free from intervention other than market forces. मतलब आपको कोई और restrictions नहीं होंगी, but market forces के according whatever the rate may be, you just have to follow the same. On the other hand, managed floating exchange rate is a market rate which can be influenced by intervention of central bank in the foreign exchange market, and it is a tool to control unfavorable impact of foreign exchange rate. वापस से वही हो गया कि हमारी इकोनॉमी में कुछ अनफेवरेबल ना हो, तो कहीं ना कहीं बड़ों का कंट्रोल होना चाहिए. दैट मीन्स द मेन अथॉरिटी आरबीआई. आई होप दिस इज क्लियर. एनी डाउट?
No,
जय
ma'am.
खुशी. खुशी, is there any doubt?
नहीं दी.
Okay. Now we need to cover some of the points that leads to demand and supply of foreign exchange. देखो, there's a list of demand, then demand curve, and there's a list of supply, and then supply curve. Look, if we talk about demand or outflow of foreign exchange comes from those people who need it to make payment in foreign currency. मतलब अब आपको कभी भी पेमेंट करनी होगी, you have to demand foreign exchange. And whenever you are receiving some payments, आपको कोई और पेमेंट कर रहा है, and that's your income, so ultimately that will lead to supply of foreign exchange. अब इसके जो पॉइंट्स होंगे, अगेन द सेम थिंग, सप्लाई के पॉइंट्स बिल्कुल अपोजिट होंगे. इनका जो ग्राफ बनेगा, सप्लाई का ग्राफ बिल्कुल अपोजिट होगा. ठीक है, तो वी हैव टू अगेन कंपेयर इट एंड देन कवर दैट टॉपिक. नंबर वन इज इंपोर्ट ऑफ गुड्स एंड सर्विस. डेफिनेटली आप इंपोर्ट करेंगे तो आपको पेमेंट करनी पड़ेगी. देयर वी हैव एक्सपोर्ट ऑफ गुड्स एंड सर्विस. अब इसका पहले 2-4 आइटम्स पढ़ लेते हैं. Next one is tourism. Definitely there'll be demand of foreign exchange if you need to have foreign tours. Unilateral transfer sent abroad. Read it carefully. It is sent abroad. मतलब unilateral transfer means one-sided payments, just like gifts, grants, foreign remittances. अगर आप किसी भी तरह से बाहर किसी को भी पैसा भिजवा रहे हैं, and that is unilateral, मतलब not in exchange of any goods and services. That is just with मतलब one-sided kind of transaction. और आप send कर रहे हैं तो you need actually foreign currency. तो आप demand करेंगे. Then purchase of asset in foreign countries. If you want to purchase some asset in that particular country, so that is also part of it. Speculations. And last one is repayment of international loans. That means if you have already taken some loans in foreign currency from foreign country and you need to make the payment, so this will be leading to demand of foreign exchange again. Now let's read the speculation part specifically. Demand for foreign exchange arises when people want to make gains from appreciation of currency. It's like आप अगर फ्यूचर के लिए एस्टिमेट कर रहे हैं कि आई बिलीव कि 5 साल में अगर आप 5 साल अपनी कोई करेंसी होल्ड कर रहे हैं, यू आर गोइंग टू गेन अ लॉट जस्ट ड्यू टू एप्रिसिएशन. आपको कुछ नहीं करना, सिर्फ करेंसी एप्रिसिएशन की वजह से आपको बहुत फायदा होने वाला है. सो दैट इज अ पार्ट ऑफ स्पेकुलेशन. Many a time people purchase foreign currency for speculation purpose only. For example, if people expect that the price of US dollar in terms of money would increase in future, so they will buy more US dollar today just to hold it and to appreciate their money. They will do so to make gains from appreciation of currency, that is in the expectation of making profits when dollar become expensive. Now, what are the reasons for rise in demand for foreign currency? Look, there are different situations that will actually lead to rise. When price of foreign currency falls, import from foreign countries become cheap, so import increase, hence the demand for foreign currency rise. अब आपको उन्होंने पूरा रीजन बता दिया है कि how would you increase your imports and what will be the situation. They have written कि पहले the rate was 74, now the rate is 70, so definitely you will somehow try to increase the demand. ठीक है? So it will rise the demand for US dollars. क्योंकि हम 11th class में demand chapter में पढ़ते हैं that whenever there is reduction in the price of goods and services, we are going to demand more. Second point is when a foreign currency becomes cheap, in terms of domestic currency, it promotes tourism to that country. Definitely, अगर आपको लग रहा है कि आपको कहीं foreign tour पे जाना है, you need to make the payment in their currencies only. You can't take Indian currency. Okay, even if you are taking that, you just have to exchange it. The point is, when price of the foreign exchange currency falls, its demand rises as more people want to make gain from speculative activities. Matlab, ultimately what they are doing in this topic, they are actually relating the demand part and the change in currency rate. Matlab, they are just taking the same points like import, export, tourism, speculations, but they are showing how it will increase your demand and how the process goes on. Now, demand curve of foreign exchange is given. In 11th standard, we studied demand chapter. We study that whenever there is increase in the prices, we have to reduce our quantity. That is why it slopes downward from left to right. तो वैसा ही इन्होंने same demand curve introduce किया, right? Demand curve of the foreign exchange sloped downwards due to inverse relationship between demand for foreign exchange and foreign exchange rate. अभी फिर से वही बात हुई. Here, foreign exchange is a kind of commodity for you, ना? हम जब demand पढ़ते थे, we used to study goods and price. So for now, foreign exchange is itself good, and exchange rate is the price. So they have shown how if the original rate is R1, you are demanding Q1, and this was the original point. how the rate has increased to R2 and quantity has reduced to Q1 and new point is B. Excuse me. Next, we are going to study the points related to supply. सबसे पहला हमने cover कर लिया था exports. So whenever we are going to export foreign goods, export goods to foreign countries, definitely the supply of foreign exchange will increase because we are going to receive the money from them. Now, foreign investment. Earlier in demand, we have studied if you want to invest in foreign currencies. Here we are going to study the opposite situation. Foreigners actually want to invest in our country. Remittances, that is again unilateral transfer from abroad. Please check it carefully. Unilateral transfer sent abroad. That is why you are demanding foreign exchange. Now it is foreign remittances. That means you are receiving money from abroad. Again, next point is speculation. Definitely, supply of foreign exchange comes from those who want to speculate on the value of foreign exchange. That means about your expectations, how you want to deal with the situation if there is increase or decrease in the rate of foreign exchange. Now, loan from rest of the world. Earlier, you were making repayment of loans. In this, you are actually taking loans. So if you are taking loans from rest of the world, so that is going to increase the supply of foreign exchange. And last point is grants and donation from abroad. So whenever you receive grants and donation, definitely you will go get more and more supply of foreign exchange. Now again the reasons. फिर से वही same relate करेंगे देखो. Supply of foreign currency rises in the following situation. When price of the foreign currency rises, domestic goods become relatively cheap. It includes a foreign country to increase their imports. Definitely they'll feel like कि India के products अब और cheap हो चुके हैं and they are going to purchase it. As a result, supply of foreign currency rises. For example, if price of $1 rises from 70 to 74, then export to US will increase as Indian goods will become relatively cheaper. And it will raise the supply of US dollar. And when the price of foreign currency rises, supply of foreign currency rises as people want to make gain from speculative activities. Again, same point. Kabhi bhi, please don't get confused in these two topics. These are like 90% same, but they have just twisted the language to make the answer or question different. When price of the foreign currency rises, investment from the foreign country into the domestic country also rises due to rise in purchasing power of foreign currency in domestic currency. Definitely they'll feel like कि अब हम अगर invest करेंगे तो हमें ज़्यादा purchasing power मिलेगी वहाँ पर उसी same amount में. So definitely they are going to increase it. And when price of foreign currency rises, tourism into the domestic country rises as traveling to the domestic country becomes relatively cheap. यहाँ पर आना आसान हो जाएगा. Supply curve, the same thing, just as 11. Moves from left to right, but this time upwards, not downwards. क्योंकि being a supplier, you always want increase in the prices. आप कभी नहीं चाहेंगे कि prices कम हो. So whenever the prices are increasing, your quantity will increase. Look, earlier price was R1. You were actually supplying Q1. But when the price increased to R2, that means foreign exchange rate, you actually increase the quantity of foreign exchange supplied. I hope it is clear. Jen Kushi.
Yes, ma'am. Clear.
Now, determination of exchange rate. How do we deal with exchange rate? Let's see. Demand moves from left to right, downwards. Our supply moves from left to right, upwards. And this is the rate we decide in the market based on demand and supply. And this is our exchange rate. Okay? Let's just check how. Like the price of the commodity, flexible exchange rate is determined in the interaction of forces of demand and supply. Here are demand curve, this is supply curve. Wherever they are intersecting, that is a point of equilibrium or exchange rate. So equilibrium exchange rate is determined at the level where demand for the foreign exchange is equal to supply of foreign exchange. And this will be clear from this diagram. देखो उन्होंने क्या किया? Whenever you have more supply, अब आप देखिए ना यहाँ पर अगर हम सप्लाई की क्वांटिटी इस वाले पोर्शन में देखें तो you can have more supply. However, this portion of demand has less demand. मतलब quantity of demand is less than quantity of supply. That is why this whole portion, this situation will be termed as excess supply. However, this is opposite below. This is excess demand. You can easily see now demand curve is ahead as compared to that of supply curve. क्योंकि supply curve backside है, उनकी quantities कम होंगी, demand is ahead, उनकी quantities ज़्यादा होंगी. That is excess demand and excess supply. And definitely the rate at which they are intersecting, that is called equilibrium exchange rate. And the particular quantity at which they have the same rate, that is called as equilibrium quantity. So flexible rate of exchange is also known as free rate of exchange. We have already covered that, as it is freely determined by the market forces of demand and supply of the foreign exchange. Now, any exchange rate other than OR matlab that according to the diagram, this is the equilibrium rate. These are not equilibrium exchange rate. Matlab, even though the rate may be high or low as compared to that of equilibrium rate, so definitely those points are not equilibrium one. So if exchange rate rises to OR2, matlab they have shown different situations from this diagram. Ultimately, you should be very much clear about this. This is the point of equilibrium, that's all. If they provide you any other point in which these two are not intersecting, so that's not a point of equilibrium. Now, change in exchange rate. You may have increase, decrease in demand and supply. Accordingly, there will be change in the foreign exchange rate. Look at it. Let's create 4 different diagrams. First of all, let's create just original demand and supply. Okay, there will be no change. Original demand from left to right, again, and in 2 cases we'll make the change in supply. In 2 cases we'll make the change in demand. This is supply curve. Okay. Now, you need to make the change in demand first. So, change can be of 2 types. Now, change can be increase or decrease. If we talk about increase in demand, let's see. This is the original demand curve. If we'll increase it, we'll shift the demand curve to upward side. This is increase in demand and we call it as D1. Now what will happen? Earlier, this was the equilibrium point, but now this will become the equilibrium point. In this, you need to increase the quantity, no doubt. But due to increase in demand, there is increase in the rate as well. Earlier rate was R1, now rate has increased to R2. The increase in demand will lead to increase in exchange rate. Another situation is decrease in demand. This is demand and this is supply. If we are going to decrease the demand, it will move to left side, this position. Now what will happen is quantity needs to decrease. because this is the new point. This was the original one. This will reduce your quantity, and side by side, this is gonna reduce your rates as well. Earlier rate was this higher rate. Now the rate has reduced to R2 just due to decrease in the demand. Just like you can take the example of fast food during COVID situations. There was decrease in demand, no doubt. So they have actually offered many discounts, many reduction in rates, many offers just to increase the demand somehow, because rates were reducing due to lack of demand. However, if we talk about fruits, vegetables, healthy food, some medical facilities, those all were demanded very high in another situation. So the rate was also increasing. Now let's see the another situation of change in supply. If we talk about change in supply, another point is again increase or decrease. Now this demand is constant, but now we need to change the supply. If we are increasing it, so we'll be shifting it to right side. This is S1, new supply curve. And if we are going to decrease it, we'll shift it to left. This is S1. Okay? Now, how would it lead to make the change in demand and quantity and rates? Look, this was the original point. Quantity was less. Now, this is the new quantity, Q1. However, because supply is increasing this time, the rate will reduce. This is R original rate and this is R1. It has reduced. So reduction in rate. And if we talk about another situation where we have shifted S to S1, that means reducing one, the quantity will get reduced, but the rate will increase because supply has reduced. From R to R1, increase in the rates. Is it clear there? Is Kushi
Yes.
messaging on the... Kushi? Network problem था? Are you there? Am I audible, Kushi? So let's just continue. Okay, so these were the situations of changing in demand and supply. Now let's see a new topic, foreign exchange market. As I've told you, just like commodities, just like shares, we also have market for foreign exchange, foreign currencies. So foreign exchange market is a market in which foreign currency are bought and sold. The buyers and seller include individual firm, foreign exchange brokers, commercial banks, and the central bank. Everyone who needs foreign currency, or everyone who is having foreign currency and they want to supply it. So ultimately, they are interested in foreign exchange market just to purchase and sell foreign currency. Like any other market, foreign exchange market is a system, not a place. It is not a physical market. That is just a system. The transactions in this market are not confined to only one and few foreign currencies. In fact, there are a large number of foreign currency which are traded, converted, exchanged in the foreign exchange market. Now look at its three functions. Transfer function, credit function, hedging function. Again, hedging one is the favorite to give you a question in the exam. So if we talk about transfer function, it transfer purchasing power between countries involved in the transaction. This function is performed through credit instrument like bills of foreign exchange, bank draft, telephonic transfer. मतलब ultimately, if you are moving to a foreign trips, you can just get a letter from the bank. You can get a bank draft or telephonic transfer. You can just go to foreign country. You can purchase goods and services, whatever you want, and your bank will make the payment, direct payment. So ultimately, क्या हुआ? आपके पास purchasing power इंडिया में थी, but that purchasing power has actually shifted to another country you're moving to. That is transfer function. Next is credit function. It provides credit to foreign trade. Bills of exchange with maturity period of 3 months are generally used for international payments. Credit is required for this period in order to enable the importer to take possession of goods, sell them, and obtain money to pay pay off the bill. मतलब credit function में this market will actually help you to do credit sales and purchase. It's normal now if you are purchasing goods within India, like your supplies, your raw material and all. तो बहुत बार ऐसा होता है you're purchasing it on credit. You'll get some time from your supplier. You'll try to just make your supplies. मतलब आप अपनी sales फटाफट करना चाहेंगे just to collect the money as soon as possible, so that that particular money will be used to make payment to the suppliers, your creditors. Similarly, in the foreign transactions, it is also possible just through foreign exchange market. And last one is hedging function. Hedging function में मैंने आपको बताया था कि it is going to reduce your risk for future fluctuations. So when exporters and importers enter into an agreement to sell and buy goods on some future date at current prices and the exchange rate, it is called hedging. मतलब आपने अपने future का risk कम कर लिया है just by hedging function. Now, kinds of foreign exchange market, it includes two types: spot market, forward market. As the name says, spot. उसी time आपको transaction करनी है. It is on the spot. It deals with daily transaction, current transaction. Forward transaction will deal with future transactions. So spot market refers to the market in which receipts and payments are made immediately. Generally, a time of 2 business days is permitted to settle the transaction. Spot market is of daily nature and deals only in spot transaction. मतलब कोई future transaction से deal नहीं करते. Definitely it has their own market ना. And the rate of exchange which is prevailing in the spot market is termed as spot exchange rate or current exchange rate. You can get a 1 mark question from this. That what is the exchange rate called in spot market? That is current exchange rate or spot exchange rate. However, if we talk about forward market, so forward market refers to the market in which sales and purchase of foreign currency is settled on the future date at an agreed upon today. Matlab, rate is agreed on today only, and you are going to settle the transaction in future. The exchange rate quoted is forward transaction is known as forward exchange rate. जो अभी हमने पढ़ा spot market में spot rate, forward market में forward exchange rate. Generally, most of the international transactions are signed on one date and completed on a later date. Forward exchange rate becomes useful for both the parties involved in the transaction क्योंकि ultimately आपका risk कम करेगा ना. Buyer का भी करेगा, seller का भी करेगा क्योंकि rate तो किसी के भी favor में हो सकता है future में. If there will be change in rate, तो आप क्या करेंगे? Ultimately, just avoid the risk and just select the current exchange to minimize the risk of loss due to adverse change in exchange and to make the profit through speculation. Mala, these are the different types of markets in the foreign exchange. Is there any doubt? Okay, so next chapter we are starting is government budget and the economy. Ab government budget ka, I have already provided some videos which covers, I guess, 75% of the chapter, and will definitely soon provide the third one to cover the remaining chapter. For now, we are revising it. The government budget is an annual statement showing item-wise estimated receipts and expenditure. मैंने आपको पहले वाले वीडियो में भी यही explain किया था. Important word for this chapter is estimated. You never take exact, because government budget is going to show you future position. तो आप वो exact नहीं ले सकते. That all is going to be estimated receipt and expenditure. The receipt and expenditure shown in the budget are not the actual figures, but the estimated values of upcoming fiscal year. And fiscal year is taken from 1st April to 31st March. The important point for this is it is prepared for all levels of government, central हो या state हो या local हो. लेकिन आपके लिए you are going to study basically for central government and known as union budget. Estimated expenditure and receipts are planned as per the object of the government. आपको आपकी जो भी गवर्नमेंट है, आपकी इकोनॉमी की सिचुएशन क्या है, accordingly they are going to decide your expenditure and receipts now, so as your government budget. India में they have shown कि it is presented in parliament on the day also, मतलब the main president is going to direct and decide the day. Finance minister will represent the annual budget of the government on first day of February each year. First day is termed as budget day. First February every year. First, you need to get approval from the parliament, and financial performance of government of last year is also covered in this, along with that of upcoming policies. Matlab, whatever you have done in the last year and whatever you have planned for the next year is going to be shown. Objectives of government budget includes number one, reallocation of resources. Definitely, you actually try to maintain a balance between rich and poor. उसके लिए resources को reallocate करना बहुत जरूरी है. तो यही बोल रहे हैं कि according to government ना, they are going to reallocate according to economic and social priorities of the country. Economic priorities means money related items, money related priorities. However, if we talk about social, so that is public welfares. Number one, they have provided tax concessions and subsidies. Number two, directly producing goods and services. But if they want to have control on some goods and services, they will put more taxes on that. If they are going to, they are trying to actually increase the supply of some goods and services, demand of the same towards the general public, so they will somehow provide some subsidies to the same. Directly producing goods and services. If they can't provide subsidies to some other parties, if they are not going to impose more taxes, they can just directly produce it, because government can also be producer now. And they have specifically included public goods. Public goods मतलब जिसको आप किसी भी particular एक group से restrict नहीं कर सकते कि this group is going to use this. This is ultimately for general public, general welfare. Reduction in inequalities in income and wealth. Government budget ultimately, as we have studied now, they are going to reallocate the resources. They will try to distribute the income in a proper ratio so as to maintain a balance between rich and poor. Then economic stability. Stability is really important for any economy. It should, just like a normal life, we actually want stability in our income, in our life. ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए किसी टाइम तो बहुत ज्यादा इनकम है, किसी टाइम हमारे पास we don't have even income to make our normal expenses, regular expenses. Same in the case with the government. Inflationary tendency emerged when aggregate demand is higher than aggregate supply. अगर आपकी demand ज़्यादा है, supply कम है, तो inflation आएगा. Similarly, अगर आपकी demand बहुत कम है और supply ज़्यादा है, तो deflation होगा. Inflation, deflation दोनों ही बहुत ज़्यादा होने किसी भी economy के लिए अच्छे नहीं है. Every economy has to maintain a balance. Not even like, it's not like inflation is good or deflation is good. We should have a stability, we should have a balance. Next one is management of public enterprises. No doubt, government is running many enterprises, not only to just earn profit, but to provide social service, employment to the general public and all. So, उनका management भी government budget के control में आएगा. Economic growth implies sustainable increase in the real GDP. मतलब आपको अपने प्रोजेक्ट में इस तरह की पॉलिसीज रखनी है, अपना फ्यूचर प्लान इस तरह से करना है that we are going to grow our economy as much as we can. Reducing regional disparities. मतलब कुछ एरियाज जो हैं those are always backward. Government is trying to work on that, and SEZ, we have, मतलब, I'll share you the link of the video. उसमें SEZ को मैंने detail में explain भी किया, you can cover that. Employment generation, definitely there are different programs set by the government in which you are going to get employments. इसमें अगर हम महात्मा गांधी एक्ट की बात करें तो they are going to provide you employment for 100 days per year, and definitely there is a particular criteria in which you are going to be selected. You have to apply in this. Now if we talk about components of budget, revenue and capital, these are the main components, or we can also classify it as receipt or expenditure. Receipt means anything you are receiving, whether it is revenue in nature or capital in nature. Expenditure means anything you are spending, whether revenue in nature or capital in nature. Now, if we talk about revenue nature and capital nature, revenue nature deals with items which are neither going to affect your assets nor your liabilities. किसी को affect नहीं करेगा. लेकिन if we talk about capital budget, it is going to affect your asset and liabilities both. Okay. Budget receipts, it can be further classified into subcategories. Revenue receipt, capital receipt. Revenue may be further have tax receipt, non-tax receipt. Revenue, sorry. Acha. Or capital receipt may we have borrowings, recovery of loan and other receipts. First of all, if we talk about tax receipts, look, they have shown revenue receipts ki details already covered. Two sources of revenue receipt, tax revenue and others. Matlab, whenever government is collecting taxes, that will be a part of tax revenue. And for other situation, it would be non-tax revenue. So tax revenue refers to some total of receipts from taxes and other duties imposed by the government. और ये compulsory payment है. ये आपको करना applied on you, but you are going to ultimately shift the burden on someone else. Just like indirect taxes example है GST. सप्लायर पे लगता है, सप्लायर कस्टमर से रिकवर करता है, गवर्नमेंट को देता है, एंड सो आपने बर्डन किसी पे शिफ्ट कर दिया, दैट इज इनडायरेक्ट टैक्स. Details are provided, you can just go through it. I have already provided you a detail. Acha, also try to read it. Progressive, regressive and proportional. Progressive की बात करें तो if your income is increasing, if your income is in high range, तो more taxes will be applied. If your income is less, then less tax will be applied. तो वो होगा progressive. लेकिन regressive की बात करें तो there is only one rate applied on all. अगर हम 10% टैक्स बोल रहे हैं तो पुअर ने भी 10% देना है, रिच ने भी 10% देना है, मिडिल क्लास ने भी 10% देना है. So that is a kind of harsh thing. Now, if we talk about indirect taxes, they have provided examples like GST, custom duty, central excise, VAT, and so on. And indirect taxes can be avoided. अगर आप enter नहीं करेंगे transaction में, you can avoid that. मतलब you can get your products from such organization on which government do not apply indirect taxes. बहुत सारी exemptions हैं market में जिन पे आपको GST apply नहीं होता. You can purchase from them. They have provided a really good example of Khadi Udyog, from where you can get some like Khadi products. Now they're saying how to classify tax as direct or indirect. Definitely, if burden cannot be shifted, that's direct. If burden can be shifted, that's indirect. Again, they have provided you a difference, and as I always say, please read the difference carefully. Now they have provided you some items. You need to classify that as indirect or direct tax, corporate tax, GST, income tax, capital gain tax. So look, bacho. Capital gain, I'm sorry. Corporate tax is direct tax because it is directly applied on the person who is earning income. GST can be just implied to someone else. It can be imposed to someone else on your behalf. So that is indirect. Income tax and capital gain tax, ultimately again it is going to impact you directly. That is why it is direct tax. Now if we talk about non-tax revenues, there is a proper list. Interest, government and interest from lots of sources. Profit and dividends, if they have invested in some of the businesses, they are going to earn profit and dividends from them. Fees, कोई भी काम आप government से कराएंगे, they are going to get some fees from you to provide you that service. License fees, अगर आप कोई गवर्नमेंट से लाइसेंस परचेज करेंगे, इट मे बी एनी लाइसेंस, आप काम करने के लिए लाइसेंस ले रहे हैं, यू नीड लाइसेंस फॉर कमर्शियल व्हीकल, तो अल्टीमेटली यू जस्ट हैव टू पे लाइसेंस फीस फॉर दैट. Fines and penalties, definitely it is applied to lawbreakers. If you are going to break the law, you have to pay penalty and you have to pay fines. Escheat is a different one. And gifts and grants, just like government receives gifts and grants from foreign countries, foreign government और किसी से भी मिल सकता है. And forfeiture मैंने आपको बताया था, if you have put into a contract with the government or later on if you cancel that contract, whatever you have already paid to the government, they are going to forfeit it. वो जब्त कर लेंगे, they won't return that money. And if we talk about escheats, I have told you कि if some property is under the control of a person who is not having any family, so once the person is dead, the property goes in the hand of government only, because there is no legal heir. And special assessment, if due to any kind of project, any kind of work done by the government, if your property value is increasing, you are going to pay some extra money to the government. That is called as special assessment. Example can be asked in this, और या फिर आपको वो example दे देंगे and they will ask you to identify which type of non-tax transaction it is or non-tax revenue it is. Another topic is capital receipts. As we have covered, this is going to affect your asset and liability, or liability. If it is going to affect your asset or liability, then it would be a part of capital receipt, because this is not something of routine or recurring nature. The writing, the receipt must create a liability or may cause reduction in asset. So if there is any situation, any one situation that can lead to your capital receipt. Now, what are its causes? Sources. Number one is borrowing. If you are borrowing from another government just to meet your expenses, or you can borrow from, like they're given now, you can borrow from open market, RBI, foreign government, international institutions. Well, any kind of borrowings will actually lead to increase in your liability. So that will be a part of capital receipt, even though you are going to receive money, but that will actually side by side also increase your liabilities. Next one is recovery of loan. Government grants various loans to state government or union territory. Recovery of such loan is a capital receipt, as it reduces the asset of the government. If another party is going to recover the loan from you, you have to make the payment, and this will reduce your asset or your liability. However, if you have provided some loans to any of the government or anyone, any institute, and you are going to recover from them, so that will actually reduce your asset and will definitely increase the balance in your hands for the money. Next are other receipts. अब आपको ये पता लग गया होगा कि these are going to affect your asset and liability. That is why these are part of capital receipt. Now, if we cover other receipts, disinvestment refers to the act of selling a part of whole of shares of selected PSU, that is public sector undertaking. So if you have a public sector undertaking and you have shares in that, मतलब government has some shares in that, and अगर वो उसको sale कर देते हैं, that will be disinvestment. और उनसे पैसा तो recover होगा, but definitely that is going to decrease your asset. So government holds ownership in various PSUs in the form of equity shares. When the government sells a part or a whole of its shares, it leads to transfer of ownership of PSU to private enterprise. B part is small savings. अब आपने अगर कभी सुना हो तो we have NSCs, किसान विकास पत्र, मतलब ultimately these are different sources provided by the government in which we, the general public, invest a just share of our income. छोटी छोटी सी सेविंग्स हम करते हैं विद द गवर्नमेंट एंड गवर्नमेंट हमें फ्यूचर में उस चीज का बेनिफिट प्रोवाइड करती है. So this will be treated as capital receipt, as this will increase the liability of the government, because ultimately in future government has to release the payment to the general public who has invested in their schemes. Please consider debt creating and non-debt creating capital receipt are these only, whatever we have covered. लेकिन अगर कोई भी item, if any of the receipt is creating debt, मतलब is creating liability, that will be debt creating. However, if it is reducing asset, that will be non-debt creating. They have again shown you some items. You have to uh, mention whether that will be revenue or capital. Do practice these questions. Now, budget expenditure. It again has revenue expenditure, capital expenditure. Revenue neither creates any asset nor causes reduction in any liability. Capital will be just opposite. That is going to create asset, or they are going to reduce your liability. It is recurring in nature and it's incurred on normal functioning. They have given some examples like salary, pension, interest, expenditure on administration services. Matlab any kind of routine expense by the government will be a part of revenue expenditure. An expenditure is a revenue expenditure if satisfied two essential condition. मैंने आपको पहले भी समझाया है कि कभी भी अगर हम रेवेन्यू नेचर को देख रहे हैं ना, we have to consider both the situations. We have to fulfill both the situations. However, if we talk about मतलब another part, like अगर हम capital item की बात करें, तो if we are covering only one situation ना, एक भी satisfy करते हैं भी ये भी एक situation satisfy करते ही capital expenditure बन जाएगा वो. Now, capital expenditure refers to the expenditure which either creates asset or again shows only one condition required, causes a reduction in the liability. It is non-recurring in nature and it adds to the capital stock of the economy or increase productivity. क्योंकि ultimately आप किसी तरह से कोई expense कर रहे हैं अपना asset create करने के लिए. It is not a normal expenditure. जो आपने किया उसका benefit लिया and it's over. That will create your asset in long term. Just like they have written, a metro or flyovers are being developed by the government. Now, again, they have written the same thing, either creates asset or reduce liability. Now, let's see how to classify expenditure as revenue or capital. An expenditure is capital expenditure if either it creates asset, reduce liability. And an expenditure is revenue expenditure if it neither creates any asset nor reduces any liability. Now, this is again a list of questions which you have to try. Is there any doubt up to this? Maybe.
No, ma'am.
All right. Now, the very last topic, measurements or measures of government deficit. Budgetary deficit is defined as the excess of total estimated expenditure over total estimated revenue. कभी भी अगर आपका total expenditure ज़्यादा है as compared to that of revenue, you will always get deficit situation. Surplus opposite होता है and that is a normal situation, but we are going to cover different types of deficit in government budget. So basically there are three: revenue deficit, fiscal deficit, primary deficit. Revenue deficit is equal to revenue expenditure minus revenue receipts. Fiscal deficit is equal to total expenditure minus total receipt, but you are going to exclude borrowings. और कोई ले ले वहां पे ड्रॉ नहीं होगा in it. Primary deficit is equal to fiscal deficit minus interest payments. Listen, सिर्फ revenue है ना, you're going to consider only revenue expenditure and only revenue receipts. If it is fiscal, it is going to include total expenditure and total receipt, लेकिन आपको सिर्फ borrowings जो कि हमारे receipts ही हैं, capital receipts है, borrowings को include नहीं करना. And last one is primary deficit, जो fiscal deficit को base लेकर ही calculate किया जा सकता है. First of all, you have to calculate fiscal deficit, then reduce the interest payment if you are making any kind of payment on borrowings. Now let's see its detail. Revenue deficit is concerned with the revenue expenditure and revenue receipt. Again, the same formula. It signifies government's own revenue is insufficient to meet the expenditure. It implies that government is this savings. इसका मतलब यही हुआ कि if your expenses are more, you are unable to recover your expenses with your normal income, so you are going to use your past savings. That is this savings. It also implies that government has to make up this deficit from capital receipt. अब क्या होगा? अगर आप regularly आप अपने खर्चे bear नहीं कर पा रहे हो, definitely you have to root through some borrowings. और borrowings लेते ही it will lead to capital receipts. Use of capital receipt for meeting the extra consumption expenditure leads to an inflationary situation in the economy. Higher borrowings increase future burden in terms of loan and interest, and this will lead to more of revenue expenditure in future, and this will result in further rise in revenue deficit. Now, measures to reduce deficit, revenue deficit. Number one is reduce expenditure और increase revenue. मतलब या तो आप अपने खर्चे कम कर लीजिए या आप अपनी इनकम को इंक्रीज करने के सोर्सेज देखें. Now, fiscal deficit. It presents a more comprehensive view of budgetary imbalance. It is widely used as a budgetary tool for explaining and understanding the budgetary development in India. And this refers to the excess of total expenditure over total receipt but excluding borrowings. ये हमने अभी formula में भी देखा ना, that this time you are going to include total expenditure as well as total receipt, but somehow you have to exclude your borrowings. You won't include that. और अगर हम इसको दूसरी तरह से देखें ना, तो it is ultimately equal to borrowings only. In many of the practical questions, they won't provide you these details, or they will ask you to find out the fiscal deficit. अच्छा, अब देखिए ना, अगर they have not provided you total expenditure, revenue expenditure, capital expenditure, similarly for revenues, receipts, how could you find out fiscal? If borrowing is given directly, put fiscal deficit is equal to borrowing, and you'll find the answer. This is the shortcut and the alternative way to find out. Now, implication for this, debt trap, because your total expenditure and total receipts are considered even though you are having deficit. Debt trap means ultimately you have to make borrowings, और borrowings को repay भी करना पड़ेगा और interest की payment भी करनी पड़ेगी. So that will be a problem for you and it will be lead to debt trap. And next one is inflation. डेफिनेटली आरबीआई को फिस्कल डेफिसिट बियर करने के लिए, मतलब गवर्नमेंट को बियर करने के लिए आइदर दे बोरो और आरबीआई हो सकता है न्यू करेंसी भी इशू करे. तो दिस ऑल इज गोइंग टू लीड टू इन्फ्लेशन एंड फॉरेन डिपेंडेंस. इफ यू आर गोइंग टू बोरो फ्रॉम रेस्ट ऑफ द वर्ल्ड तो आप फॉरेन कंट्रीज पे ज्यादा डिपेंड हो जाएंगे. हैम्पर्स द फ्यूचर ग्रोथ. आपकी आज की बोरोइंग्स ना फ्यूचर को बहुत परेशान करने वाली है, क्योंकि अगर आप एक लिमिट से ज्यादा बोरो करेंगे देन फ्यूचर then future generations have to make the payment and repayment of loans along with the interest payments. Now, sources of financing fiscal deficit. आपके पास दो sources हैं. Number one is borrowing, either to borrow from someone, some party, some government, some foreign countries, international organization, just to meet your sources, your expenses, or to have fiscal financing, deficit financing. That means issuing new currency. And ultimately दोनों ही problem create कर सकते हैं if it is beyond a limit. Last one is primary deficit, that is equal to fiscal deficit minus interest payments. मतलब आपने जितना भी calculate किया है अभी तक, you are going to consider the same thing minus interest payment. Total borrowings requirement of the government include interest commitments on accumulated debt. Primary deficit reflects the extent to which such interest commitments have compelled the government to borrow the current period. मतलब बहुत सारी commitments past की ऐसी होती हैं जिसकी वजह से आपको अभी borrowing फिर से करनी पड़ेगी. Now, its implication, it indicates how much of the government borrowings are going to meet the expenses other than interest payment, मतलब आप borrowings consider कर रहे हैं, expenses consider कर रहे हैं, लेकिन expenses में interest नहीं लोगे, that's all. Other things will remain the same. So a low or zero primary deficit indicates that interest commitments or on earlier loans have forced the government to borrow. मतलब आपका अभी का खर्चा आपको परेशान नहीं कर रहा. The normal expenditure is like okay, controlled. However, this all is creating a problem. मतलब your past borrowings are creating a problem. Primary deficit is the root cause of fiscal deficit. In India, interest payments have considerably increased in recent years. High interest payments on past borrowings have greatly increased the fiscal deficit. जो आपको पास्ट बोरोइंग्स पे बहुत ज्यादा लोन्स अभी पे कर इंटरेस्ट अभी पे करना पड़ता है, उसकी वजह से आपको प्राइमरी डेफिसिट फेस करना है. इट इज नॉट ड्यू टू योर करंट एक्सपेंसेस एंड योर करंट रेवेन्यूज. To reduce the fiscal deficit, interest payment should be reduced through repayment of loan as early as possible. क्योंकि आप जितना जल्दी लोन रीपे कर देंगे, आपका इंटरेस्ट का रेगुलरली जो एक्सपेंस होता है वो कम हो जाएगा. Now they have shown you the comparisons and some numerical questions. So it's a request to solve maximum questions, maximum possible questions you can. So let's just see this one question. They have provided you the details. Revenue received दिया हुआ है, capital received दिया हुआ है. Capital में they have shown different items: loan recovery, other receipts, borrowings. Total receipts are given. This is capital receipts का total. Then total expenditure में we have revenue expense and capital expense. Whenever we need to find out revenue deficit, we have revenue expense and revenue receipt. So consider this value and your revenue expenditure, मतलब only this one. इसका difference लेते you'll get the revenue deficit. For fiscal, you need to consider total but excluding borrowings. So what you need to do is consider total expenditure. That means this one. And receipts other than borrowings. मतलब consider this, and this as well, but don't consider borrowings. और आप अब देखिए, मैंने आपको बोला था ना कि this will ultimately be equal to borrowings. तो अगर आप एक net value consider करें, this is ultimately equal to borrowings. Please practice some questions. And primary deficit means fiscal deficit जो आपने calculate किया, ultimately the borrowings amount, आप इसको consider करेंगे minus the interest payment. That is given as 708203. अलग से क्वेश्चन में मेंशन जरूर होगा if there is an interest payment. If there is no interest payment, then they won't provide you. So you can take the assumption कि there is no interest payment given in the question, assuming it to be zero. So fiscal deficit is equal to primary deficit. I hope the chapter is clear.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, please have its revision and we'll take its query soon. But please also solve maximum questions. We'll revise our next chapter in the next class for BOP. Along with that, we'll also try to revise money chapter. Okay. Thank you.